with no further ado, let me introduce Bruce. He's one of our amazing coaches here, able to help a lot of talent on our platform. So Bruce, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks a lot. Nice to be here. Hi, everybody. As Kyle said, my name is Bruce Kronenberg, and I am the co-owner of Abacus Entertainment, which is a production and education voiceover studio in the heart of Manhattan. I co-own this business with my business partner, Brian Falk. We specialize in coaching and producing demos for people in voiceover, particularly people who are just looking to get started. It's just the two of us. We have a small studio in Manhattan currently because of the pandemic. I've been teaching folks through Zoom at my home in Westchester. Brian, however, has been going into our studio every day. We have been declared COVID safe by SAG-AFTRA. So we are seeing people in our studio. We have been producing demos on a regular basis. And I'm also happy to say that since the pandemic, our business has tripled. This was a surprise to both of us. We're pleased. We're doing what we can to keep up with the influx of people who are now interested in voiceover, since a lot of people are quarantined at home and not working their regular jobs. A lot of them are actors, Broadway actors who have always wanted to do voiceover. And now that their shows have been shut down, they're contacting us saying, hey, what do I need to do? So I work with people one-on-one. And I also do workshops for a company called Actors Connection, which is actually in the same building that we're in Manhattan, the Film Center building on 44th Street and 9th Avenue in the heart of Hell's Kitchen. And I also work for the Stella Adler Studio of Acting, where I went to acting school once upon a time when I was a young lad and studied with Stella Adler herself. So I introduced their first voiceover program, and I've been teaching a 4-week voiceover program for them since 2015. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about how to interpret copy in a genuine and opinionated way, as the title goes. This is something that I discovered for myself when I first got started in voiceover, which was back in 1990, when around the time that my acting career began as well. My entry into the voiceover industry was an accident, believe it or not. It was as serendipitous as it comes. And I won't go into the details about how I got into it, but I got very lucky. I was doing an off-Broadway show, and somehow that parlayed into me doing on-camera commercials. That parlayed into me doing voiceovers and signing with a major agency in New York that had one of the best voiceover departments in the city. And I was literally thrown into the deep end of the pool and started auditioning for major national spots against people that had been in the business for 25 years before me. I had to kind of like sink or swim. But I do remember the first conversation I had with my agent, who said, I'm dying to sign you. I said to him, for what? And he said, for voiceovers. And I said, voiceovers? I was like, actors do voiceovers? And he said, yeah. I said, because I always thought that people from broadcasting did voiceovers. I always thought that you had to have the voice, right? That you had to have done radio or announcing of some kind. Had no idea that actors did voiceover. And he said, oh yeah, actors do voiceovers because now they don't want the announcers anymore. They want real. Oh, okay. So I figured it out as I did it. All right. I figured out that the things that I learned as an actor on how to interpret scripts and make them sound real, make them sound genuine and spontaneous, I could bring that to a voiceover script, because basically people were telling me it's not about your voice anymore. It's about what you do with the copy. Right. So I taught myself a couple of different things in terms of how to interpret copy, and I began to use those, and I got more and more successful. And from 1991 until about 2007, I made a full-time living as a voiceover talent. I was able to do shows off Broadway that didn't pay very much money at all, because I was doing voiceovers and had spots running on the air that were bringing me a good amount of money in residuals and usage. Everything I did was union. I never have done any non-union work. I don't pursue non-union work. It was a choice that I made. As things began to go more in the direction of non-union, which it is now, basically, I think it's like 70% non-union and 20% or 30% union. I made a decision. to focus more on the business of voiceover and open this business with my partner and teach. I still do voiceover. Just recently, I did some voiceover. I did some voices for a couple of video games for Blizzard Entertainment. I'm sure a lot of you know Blizzard. They produce Diablo and World of Warcraft. The casting director, Andrea Toyas, is a really good friend of mine. And I've also done a lot of corporate work, particularly for our business. We do a lot of production work as well as teach and produce demos. We work with different companies. We work with advertising companies, digital media companies, and so forth. And we've done a lot of work with them. And I always do the voiceovers for that as well. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to, if I can, move into talking about copy and giving an example, a couple of examples of how I like to interpret copy. I also, you said, Kyle, that we have one person to work with, Jenna Kemmer, right?
Yes, we picked a talent out of the crowd there. So we will have a special guest there, Jenna, who will work with you on some copy there.
Excellent.
When that time rolls up, I'm more than happy to then give her permission.
Okay.
She's able to work back and forth with you.
Excellent. Excellent. Jenna is one of my former students, actually. She took the Stella Adler voiceover workshop originally, and then continued with me, taking one-on-one lessons, and then did her demo. And now she's out there pursuing voiceover work and getting voiceover work. So when she told me that she was going to be a part of this, I suggested to Kyle that we use her to demonstrate some of these techniques of mine that I use for interpreting copy. But in the meantime, I'm going to do a couple of interpretations for you, just to give you an idea of what it's like to look at copy, not as whether or not it sounds right, whether or not you sound like you're doing a voiceover, and more towards the line of, does it feel right? Who am I talking to? Why am I saying this? And what do I want the person to feel as a result of me telling them this? Now, that might sound a little funny when you apply it to a commercial, but you can do it. It just takes a question of, it's a question of looking at the copy and seeing where you can fill it with opinion, right? Rather than just say it nicely or go for a sound. Okay. So Kyle, am I be able to share my screen?
Yep, you should see on the bottom there, share my screen.
Yeah, right. Oh, you turned it over to me. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Yep. Great. Okay, so hang on one second. I am just going to go to the copy that I want to use. Hang on one sec, guys. This is just a collection of copy that I tend to work with people on. This first spot here, everybody can see it, right, Kyle?
Yes, indeed. I can see it. I can see it well.
Good. So there's this spot up here for BP gasoline. What I'm going to do is I am going to at first just do a read, just a straightforward read, as if I looked at it for maybe like 10 or 15 seconds and decided, okay, I'm just going to do this, rather than look into it, think about it, use some techniques to interpret it, and do an even better read. Okay. So some people might go like this. Your engine is the heart of your car. Keeping it healthy can give you a few more miles per tank. Ordinary fuels can leave harmful deposits, which can reduce your engine's performance. BP gasoline with Invigorate helps clean and protect it, so you can get a few more miles per tank. BP gasoline with Invigorate. Run a little farther. Okay, so if I do it like that, nobody's going to hire me. Okay, why? Because I read it. First of all, I broke up sentences. There was no opinion. All I went for was just kind of a friendly, straightforward read with nothing original and nothing personal in the copy. Did you hear that, Kyle? Yeah.
To me, it almost sounded a little bit corporate.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. And you don't want to be corporate with something like this. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a technique I use called the moment before, which is something that actors use a lot as well. The moment before I say your engine is the heart of your car is something I'm going to create between me and another person, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be very specific about the person that I'm talking to and talk to them the way I always talk to them, right? have a reason for telling them all this, okay, and hopefully get a reaction out of them in some way. So I'm going to choose my brother. All right. My brother, Steve, he's my older brother. I have a very particular way of talking to him, right? Which is going to personalize the copy when I get into the copy. All right. And what I'm going to talk to him about is the fact that he starts his car and the engine sounds terrible, and he tells me what kind of gas he's using. And I'm like, what, Steve, what are you doing? This sounds awful. All right. I mean, your engine is the heart of your car. Keeping it healthy can give you a few more miles per tank. Ordinary fuels can leave harmful deposits, which can reduce your engine's performance. BP gasoline with Invigorate helps clean and protect it. So you can get a few more miles per tank. BP gasoline with Invigorate. Run a little farther. See what I did there? Did you hear that, Kyle?
Immediately noticed. Yeah, you completely noticed the difference and how personal and conversational that sounds.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the point is that what I did was I took it out of the context of being a commercial and I put it in the context of talking to my brother and trying to get him to change the way he treats his car. That's all I did, right? Now, there's a couple of other things that I did there that are technical, also have to do with making the read more conversational, more opinionated, and genuine. One thing I did in the first read, if you notice, was I broke up the sentences, okay? Instead of saying BP gasoline with Invigorate, I went BP gasoline with Invigorate, right? Helps clean and protect it, right? So a lot of times people do that with copy. They'll break up a sentence, okay? Because they think that that's what a commercial should sound like. And that's not the case, okay? If you glue it together into a single idea, BP gasoline with Invigorate helps clean and protect it. See what I did? There I sound like I'm talking rather than reading or presenting it. So, when you're doing copy, the one thing you want to remember is you always want to sound like you're talking to someone, right? Especially for commercials. I mean, nowadays, and, my partner and I, we keep up with the trends in voiceover. We listen for what's going on. I listen to commercials on TV all the time. And all I hear is just a real person talking, right? Some of these people don't even sound like voiceover people anymore. It just sounds like they got some guy off the street to come in and say it. But the fact is that they did not do that. They got a really good, talented voiceover actor to come in and interpret it in a way so that it sounds genuine and real and spontaneous. Okay. So you want to avoid breaking up sentences. Now, as far as beats go, if you put a beat after every sentence, a 1 second beat, what that does is that allows the listener to sound like you are waiting 1 second to see if what you said landed with the listener. So if I say to Kyle, listen, Kyle, your engine is the heart of your car. Keeping it healthy can give you a few more miles per tank, right? So I waited 1 second to see if Kyle heard what I said, right? Now, if I did this, Kyle, your engine is the heart of your car. Keeping it healthy can give you a few more miles per tank. Ordinary fuels can leave harmful deposits. And he's going to be like, Bruce, whoa, back up. I didn't get any of that. Okay.
Slow it down.
Right. A lot of people. My next thing that I was going to talk about is that you don't want to plow through copy. Right. Some people think that that's genuine, right? That's being, spontaneous and real. And really all you're doing is just speeding through the copy. Okay. In life, right, when we talk to people, we tend to wait to see if what we said landed with the listener before we say the next thing, right? Otherwise, you risk sounding like you're talking at someone, and you don't want to sound like you're talking at them. You want to sound like you're talking to them, right? So Kyle would say to me, back up. I didn't get any of that, right? If I put that 1 second beat between all the sentences, then he's with me, right? So whenever you're doing copy, you want to always think there's somebody listening to me, okay? And I want them to stay with me. I don't want to get ahead of them. I don't want to get behind them. I want them to be with me. Okay. Does that make sense, Kyle?
Yeah. And you want the copy to land. You don't want to forget what you said 5 words ago. You want it
exactly
to them as you're saying it.
Right. Exactly. Now, the other thing is that if you change, if you want to do a different read, for instance, you might want to change the person that you talk to, because for instance, I have 2 best friends, right? and I talk to them both completely different. So if I talk to Steve one way, the copy is going to sound different. If I talk to my friend Bob, it's going to sound different again. Okay. So for instance, there I was talking to my brother. All right. Now I'm going to talk to my friend Bob. So Bob, yeah, your car is really nice, but the engine sounds weird. Have you had it checked out? I mean, your engine is the heart of your car. Keeping it healthy can give you a few more miles per tank. Ordinary fuels can leave harmful deposits, which can reduce your engine's performance. BP gasoline with Invigorate helps clean and protect it, so you can get a few more miles per tank. BP gasoline with Invigorate. Run a little farther. There it is. That's to my friend Bob. Totally different than what I did to my brother, right? So the more that you give yourself those options, right, the more you can personalize and vary the copy in terms of your read, right?
Changing the candor there.
Exactly.
Sound.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Okay, so now I'm going to choose something else, and then we'll bring Jenna up. Does that work?
Sounds good with me.
Okay. All right. So here is a short copy for Almond Breeze, almond milk. So what I'm going to do is a little different with this copy. I'm going to put an opinion behind every single line of the copy. Okay. A different opinion. I'm going to explain what those opinions are. But first, I'm just going to do a read, an ordinary, straightforward read. At Almond Breeze, we only use California-grown Blue Diamond almonds in our almond milk, and we're proud of that. But the whole caring and nurturing part, that idea we borrowed from nature. Blue Diamond Almond Breeze. The best almonds make the best almond milk. Okay, so again, no one's going to hire me if I do it like that. Okay, so now I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to add opinions to every single thing that I say. All right. First line, first word, first sentence at Almond Breeze. So I'm saying the name of the product first, right? So I'm going to put pride underneath that. Okay. Next line, we only use California grown Blue Diamond almonds in our almond milk. There I'm going to brag a little bit. All right. I'm kind of saying, yeah, we're pretty good at what we do. Right. Next line, and we're proud of that. Pride again. Right. This copy is going to be a mixture of bragging and pride. Okay. Now, the next line is a turn, right, into a totally different opinion, right? And now that I've mentioned that, it's always good to look for the turn, right, to see where it differs, right? For instance, back when I did the BP gasoline spot, the first part of the spot was a problem, okay, when I was talking about the engine. When I got to BP gasoline with Invigorate, that's the solution. And something to remember is whenever you say the name of the product, think of it as a solution. Don't try to sell it. Don't try to push it. Just say, hey, you know what? Here's the answer to your problem. BP gasoline with Invigorate. All right. So we're going to do a little bit of that here. This line, but the whole caring and nurturing part, that idea we borrowed from nature. Well, there I'm kind of admitting that, even though I bragged about how great we are, we're really not responsible for all of it. So there's a little bit of a wink behind that line. Okay. Then back to Blue Diamond Almond Breeze. Pride again. The best almonds make the best almond milk. Bragging again. Okay. So I'm going to put all that in there and do that read. All right. At Almond Breeze, we only use California grown Blue Diamond almonds in our almond milk, and we're proud of that. But the whole caring and nurturing part, that idea we borrowed from nature. Blue Diamond Almond Breeze. The best almonds make the best almond milk. Hear that, Kyle?
Oh, the first one, it may have been conversational, but it was dull.
Yeah.
This one, you hit both parts where it's conversational, it's genuine, but it's packing a punch that interests you.
Exactly. Because all I did was just put an opinion behind every line.
Yep.
And if you look for that, sometimes when I work with people, and I'll work with them this way, they'll say, well, how do I do that on my own? I'm like, very simple. All right. Any opinion that you come up with. Okay. And certainly when you're saying the name of the product, it's always good to go for pride. Always. If you say the name of the product with pride, even if it's like, Clorox handy wipes, whatever. If you say Clorox handy wipes with pride, right, they're going to love that, right? Because you're putting some love behind it. If you just go Clorox handy wipes. That's, again, that's old school voiceover,
You're delivering kind of like a warm feeling when you're saying their name.
Exactly. Right. You're making it sound like it's the answer to something.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's always a good way to go with products. So yeah, I tell people just come up with opinions. I don't care what they are. Sometimes when my partner and I are working with someone on creating their demo, we write all the copy from scratch. Okay. For everyone. And we have them in the booth, and we're trying to get them to bring more opinion to their reads. Okay. And sometimes they don't know what to do. And my partner will say, well, give me any opinion. Even if it's the wrong opinion, it's an opinion. Okay. If you read copy with no opinion, like I did before, like Kyle said, it was conversational, but it was dull. It was dull because it had no opinion behind it. There was no personality behind it. Okay.
Just flat words on a piece of paper.
Exactly. Right. So even if it's the wrong opinion, even if it's a negative opinion, right? It's an opinion. And the thing is that even if you put something behind it and you think to yourself, oh, I probably shouldn't say it that way, they probably wouldn't like it. First of all, they can't see you. With voiceover, they can only hear you. Okay. So they don't know what you're thinking. They might think, oh, that was really interesting the way he said that. And they have no idea what you're thinking. Look, if you're doing a spot for food, right? If you're doing like a McDonald's spot, okay, and you're not a lover of McDonald's, but you've got to make McDonald's sound delicious, right? Think of something that you find delicious and say McDonald's instead, right? I always think of Shake Shack, okay? If I have to do something that concerns burgers, I'm thinking of Shake Shack, but I'm saying Wendy's, okay? And
Are you just rubbing that in because I've never had Shake Shack here in Canada?
Really? Oh, they don't have them there yet. Oh,
no.
That's too bad. That's too bad.
I hear all about them though.
Well, hopefully they'll come there, and they're great. I mean, they're everywhere now. But I remember the original one that opened on 23rd Street in the park in Manhattan, and fantastic. But be that as it may, whenever substitution is an old acting trick. If you substitute, for instance, if you're in a scene with somebody and you can't find the emotion in the scene, you would go to something in your own life that brought up the emotion, and that helped you do the scene. Same thing with this. If McDonald's doesn't twirl your ticket, think of something that does, right? Okay. All right, good. So now can we bring Jenna up to, hi, Jenna. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good to see you. And I'm glad you were able to do this. Okay. So hang on one second while I bring this copy up again and share my screen with you. iPad Air, it starts with it's an extremely simple tool, but also extremely powerful, right? So take a look at that. And whenever you feel like it, you can go ahead and give it a read. Okay. And then we're going to go back and work on it.
Okay. Well, it's an extremely simple tool, but also extremely powerful. It can be used to start a poem or finish a symphony. It's been to classrooms and boardrooms, even to space. And we can't wait to see where you'll take it next. Introducing the thinner, lighter, more powerful iPad Air.
Okay. Not bad, Jenna, right? Not bad. No, it sounds nice. You have a nice natural quality to begin with. You always did, when we worked together. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a little bit of what I did before with the BP gasoline spot. You're going to talk to somebody. So let's just say that we all know someone who has a problem with technology, right? We all know people who are a little nervous around devices, computers, right? Then of course there's people like my wife who just hate computers, and she yells at her computer and hits it. So there's people like that too. But there's also people like, oh, I don't know what to do with this. What if I hit that button? Will everything disappear? Right. So I want you to think of someone in your life. Do you have somebody in your life? Maybe one of your parents, usually it's mom or dad, it's like, mom, it's okay. It's fine. I'll show you how to use it. Right. So I want you to talk to that person, have a moment before with them. They've just gotten the iPad Air. They're a little nervous about it. right? So your intention is to reassure them with these words, to reassure them that this is great. It does all these wonderful things. You can use it here, you can use it there. And hey, you might do something with it. That's amazing. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So give that a go. And I'd like to hear the moment before, the dialogue before, and lead into it as well. Okay.
Okay. Well, Mom, I got you a new present. Don't worry, it's going to be much better than your phone, much easier. And also the buttons are going to be a lot bigger for you. Trust me, it's an extremely simple tool, but also extremely powerful. It can be used to start a poem or finish a symphony. It's been to classrooms and boardrooms, even to space. And we can't wait to see where you'll take it next. Introducing the thinner, lighter, more powerful iPad Air.
Really nice. Did you hear a difference? You hear that, Kyle?
I definitely did. Definitely. You can hear it quickly go into that more personalized, more genuine tone. So I see exactly what you're doing here, and you can hear it.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is that, these commercials that I'm sure you've both heard commercials for Apple products. They tend to have a certain feel to them, right? So now here's what I want you to do. I want you to do something else. We're going to take this one little step further, okay? Because taking into account the way Apple product commercials sound, they're a little bit detached. They're a little bit on the flat side, but they still have opinion. So here's your challenge, Jenna. I want you to take everything that you just did, and I want you to pull it back just slightly and just flatten it out a little bit without losing any of the opinion. Okay. Little challenge here, right? And do everything that you did before. Start with the moment before, right? Segue into the copy, but just pull it back slightly and just flatten it out a little bit. Yeah. See where that gets you.
Okay, Steph, I got you something for work because I think this is going to help you when you're taking notes and you're on the go. It's an extremely simple tool, but also extremely powerful. It can be used to start a poem or finish a symphony. It's been to classrooms and boardrooms, even to space. And we can't wait to see where you'll take it next. Introducing the thinner, lighter, more powerful iPad Air.
Nice, nice, really nice. That sounded more like an Apple commercial. Okay. So that's the other thing, is that if you are familiar with the quality of these types of commercials, we all know Apple products. I'm sure a lot of people here own an Apple product. And if you listen to those commercials, they have a quality to them. It's usually a young millennial sounding voice, right? And the attitude is like, yeah, I think this is really cool. But I'm not going to like give away too much. I'm just going to say this, but it still has opinion behind it, right? It's not just a flat read. So sometimes flat is just a choice, Jenna might be in the studio recording this, and she might have done the read that she did previously. And the producer might say, Jenna, that's great. We love all the personality you brought to it and so forth. Now, can you just take all of it and just pull it back a little bit? And you just did that, right? And they might go, that's it. That's the take, right? So, taking direction, starting one way and then taking direction and not losing any of what you started with not losing any of what you started with when you did the spot is always a good thing. Okay. Great. Thanks, Jenna.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome, Jenna. Thanks for being a part of this.
That was great.
I know it's probably a little nerve-wracking being live, so I really appreciate you stepping up and helping out.
Yeah, no worries. Just I can tell the people next door have woken up, so I'm like, wrong space for this.
So
awesome.
Jen, I'm going to see you soon, right? Are you taking one of the classes, or I don't know?
I'm seeing you Friday night for sure.
Right, for Tech Talk and cocktails. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Excellent. Great.
Awesome, Jenna. Well, thank you very much, and have yourself a great afternoon.
You too.
So Kyle, do we go into Q&A now, or is there more time to do some more demonstration? What's next on the agenda?
Let's see. Okay, there we go. So next on the agenda, if that's pretty much everything that you have to cover, we can hop into the Q&A session.
Sure.
let me know.
Sure. Q&A
Perfect.
is fine. Yeah.
All right, guys. So we are at the Q&A session. If everybody wants to put their questions in there, we'll get to as many as we can. To start with, we have a question from Suzanne. Suzanne's wondering, what do you do with a script if it's only a portion of that script? Many times, especially on platforms, you get a snippet of the full story, which makes it a little bit hard to get the opinions or the full story there of what their job's going to be. What is your recommendation there?
Well, I mean, a lot of times they do that. And, usually you'll get something that gives them an idea of what you can do. So I would say, take that portion of the script that they gave you, that snippet or whatever, and completely put your own opinion and personality on that, and only concern yourself with that snippet. Okay. If you're concerned that like, well, I don't have everything to work with here, that's going to probably trip you up more than if you just take what they give you and put whatever you want behind it. Here's the thing. Here's the thing that I wanted to say also. A lot of times when we audition and we send in auditions, people are wondering like, well, would they like it if I did it this way? Should I do it this way? There's a lot of questioning about what you should do with the copy. And I am a big believer and a big proponent in doing what you want, what makes you happy with it. So if you get a snippet or just a portion of copy, it's like, I'm just going to make this mine and do my version of it and send that and hope that that might be what they're looking for. And if you're happy with it, if you play it back and listen to it and you go, I like what I did with that. That was kind of cool. I'm going to send it. You'd be surprised, rather than concerning yourself with, I don't have enough to work with here. Take what they give you and put as much as you want behind it and make it yours.
Definitely. And I feel a lot of times, I know a lot of members that I chat with do this. If it's very vague, even just looking at the company and what their products are and what
exactly
the messaging is, can usually at least give you an understanding of what vibe to shoot for.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're, on the internet, and at least where the product comes from or where the company comes from, by all means, you should research that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. All righty. On to the next here. Have a question from Ellen. Ellen is wondering, is it okay to keep a word or words that you add in your take into the audition, kind of those conversational like ums or so, that type of thing? Or do you stick strictly to the copy and try to make just the copy as conversational?
Yep. I mean, if you do a moment before, you want to make sure that you cut it out before you send it. It's for you. It's okay. And you can even, like, if you're at a booking and the engineer says rolling and you want to do a moment before, it's fine. They're not going to object. They'll just cut it out. That's all. But you have to make sure that you cut that out. If those things help you, if adding those vocables like and I don't know, and fine, great. But make sure when you go through your recording that you pop those out because they're going to want to hear the copy. Yeah.
Definitely agree. There is that fine line of balance, in that conversational read of, I mean, we hear them every day, and we want to make sure that those those filibuster words, if you will, are out of there.
Right, because what you're doing is you're making it sound like you made their copy conversational. You didn't really have to do anything, and whatever you did was for you, not for them. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Alrighty. So another question from Suzanne here. What do you do with this? Oh, sorry, that's the same one. You mentioned corporate read. What do you do differently when it comes to corporate reads and there versus commercial reads, and how opinions there?
Okay, so usually what I'll tell people is when you're doing a commercial read, you're wearing a t-shirt and jeans. When you're doing a corporate read, you're wearing a suit, right? Yep. And a lot of times that changes our delivery. It changes us. If you're in a suit at work or if you're at a formal gathering or something, there's something more formal in your delivery and the way you approach copy with corporate. They do want a person, even though the copy is somewhat more dry and technical. They're still a person, but you have to speak with authority. You're usually explaining the way something works. You're not selling anything. Okay. Or you're taking someone through the different ways that they can review the company and use some of the tools that the company offers. For instance, if it's banking, if it's an investment firm, they're taking you through all the ways that you can invest with the company. So it's informative, it's formal, it's a bit authoritative, but it's still friendly. Okay, you still want to do it with a smile, and you still want to glue those sentences together into single ideas. You want to be careful not to make it too dry and technical. So there's a slight difference. Yeah.
I think that's great advice there. All right. And let's see. Sorry, just looking at the questions here. Oh, I think we went over this, but just seeing this here, so figured not bad to shout it out again. David's asking, how can we get in contact with you if we're looking into training?
Best way is to email me at Bruce, BRUCE at Abacus, ABACUS.NYC. That's my company, Abacus Entertainment. And yeah, sure. You can get in touch with me anytime. I will tell you that I am booked up until the end of May. Okay.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Get in, send out that email, see if you can get in.
It's just the way things have gone.
Yep.
We didn't expect it, but that's just my deal right now. So
yep.
Just so that
no,
and
I know you work with a ton of talent that come through our site, so not surprised hearing that. You are a sought after coach there.
It's great, and there's a lot of coaches out there too that are great too, that I support. One guy I think is fantastic is Everett Oliver. Do you know Everett Oliver? He's a coach in Los Angeles. He works with people on animation as well.
I don't believe I know him personally.
Yeah, he's great. So he's someone that you might want to check into also. But like I said, I'm glad to talk to you, but it's just that, right now I'm a little busy. So
awesome. And we have many great coaches on our website as well. And Bruce is also listed there, so feel free, voices.com/coaches, or if you scroll to the bottom of our webpage, you will see a coaches tab there that will take you to the same page there. So feel free to check that out. And in the meantime, on to the next question. And I think this is a really great question. So I'd love to hear your advice on this. James is wondering, how do you employ these techniques into a rapid format as we're trying to do, say 20 auditions a day?
Okay, good. I'm glad you asked that question. So I have this thing that I do where I call it nail it in 3 takes. Okay. So what I'll do is, first of all, if for the most part these days, and I think Kyle, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but usually, especially for the auditions on voices.com, they just want 1 take most of the time, right? They don't want multiple takes. Okay.
Yep. Maximum 2.
Maximum 2, right? They just don't have time to listen to multiple takes. So
exactly.
If you're thinking about like 1 take, okay, what you want to do is you want to employ any of these techniques, for instance, the moment before, to 3 different takes. Give yourself 3 takes to nail it. Okay. Because a lot of times people spend an inordinate amount of time on 1 audition. There are people that are spending like an hour on a 30-second audition. That's ridiculous, right? When you could be nailing like several in an hour. So use the 3 take rule. Do 1 take, listen back to it, make sure that you know exactly what you wanted to do with that 1 take. Listen to see if you nailed it. You didn't, you want to add this and that, do another take. Okay. If you still didn't get there, give yourself just 1 more take, right, to nail it. If it's in that 3rd take, send the 3rd take, move on to the next audition. Okay. That's the best way to go. That'll keep it like within the parameters of, figuring out what you want to do, trying to nail it in 3 takes, right? And then moving on to the next thing. You're giving yourself parameters to work within. You might think to yourself, okay, after the 3rd take, you know what? I still like the 1st take best, right? But if you keep going, I'm like, no, it's not there yet. No, I hate that. And then, you know, you're 10 takes into it, and it's already an hour and you haven't even gotten out one take yet. So give yourself parameters. That's what I suggest.
And I think as well, if you get into that mind frame of you're doing them over and over again, I feel it almost pulls you out of that natural delivery because you're overthinking it and,
That's right.
and really trying to lean into it more than need be.
Exactly.
That's a great rule to have, that maximum 3 take rules. When it comes to the actual audition itself, 30 seconds of the read, and they ask, if they specifically ask for more than that, then definitely do. But yeah, 30 seconds of good audio there with their script. One, if you feel the need because you have 2 different reads there that are definitely different and you like both of them, 2 maximum for submission.
Absolutely. Also, the other thing you can do within those 3 takes is that you might go, well, I like what I did with the second part of take 3, but I like the first part of take 1 better. So if your editing skills are up to par, hopefully they are, you can edit those 2 takes together, send it off, right?
Definitely.
But work within the 3, right? Don't go further.
Definitely. I think that's great advice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now I've got a question from Tony. This is a question that I actually see quite often. So I'd love to hear your input here. What do you do with copy if there's grammatical errors or spelling errors? Do you typically, give them the copy that they wrote, or do you sense that that is an error and, then deliver kind of along the lines of what's right?
Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of times, and I don't know if this is possible with voices. You might want to email them, right? Email back the producer and say, I think there's a grammatical error in this copy that you might not have seen, but I noticed it. That's one way you might be able to solve that problem. The other way, sorry, hang on one sec. Okay. The other way is to go ahead and fix it yourself. 9 times out of 10, they won't notice, and they're certainly not going to notice if it's right. All right. But if you do the copy and it's grammatically wrong, they'll notice it, of course, and realize that they've made a mistake. Okay. So either you can email them and ask them what you should do since the copy is got grammatical errors, or just fix it yourself.
Yep. I think on our platform, obviously the client needs to initiate that contact. So my advice on that would be get a sense of the copy. If it's one of those kind of those wink, wink opinions, like you had mentioned before, where they're kind of doing that on purpose, try out the read and see how it sounds. If it does sound awkward and it does sound grammatically incorrect, then give a take where, it's grammatically correct.
Absolutely.
Take those 2 reads, decide which one you're most comfortable with and which one sounds the best to you, and likely what they're shooting for.
Absolutely. Also, if things are written too correctly, like I'm going to the store, right?
Yep.
You don't want to say it like that. You want to say, I'm going to the store, right? You want to, again, you want to make it into a conversational phrase. You don't want to read a sentence that's written perfectly.
Exactly. Definitely. I think it's more about how it sounds and the intention behind it than the actual grammatical accuracy. Of course, those do work in balance with one another.
Sure.
So judge it as need be. Yeah. All right. And I have a question here from Sheldon. Actually, yeah, we did chat about that. His question was more along the lines of duration of audition. He usually goes with 20 seconds. However, occasion, the name of the product comes later, like at 30 seconds. Should I keep going? Definitely. I think 30 seconds is a good benchmark. I think 20 seconds is as well. Judge it by the copy. And Bruce, I'd love to know your opinion on that as well, but judge it by the copy. If there's a big tagline at the end that you think is very important to that messaging, definitely extend to there. But yeah, other than that, typically clients are listening to the first, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds. And at that point, whether you're a good fit. So use your time wisely.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, sometimes they just give you like 10 seconds worth of copy, right?
Yeah.
So the question was, again, can you just repeat the question again?
Question about the duration of the audition. I usually go 20 seconds. However, on occasion, The name of the product comes later on, like at 30 seconds. Should I be going to that point, or what's your advice?
If you have an opportunity to say the name of the product, I would do that. I'm just wondering if it's possible to read just that part that has the name of the product. Because again, giving them the name of the product, like I said, with a little pride, with a little wink or a smile behind it, tells them something about your ability. So
definitely. I think this is a really interesting question. So it's kind of intrigued me to ask it. Ken's wondering, when you read the BP copy there, and you're doing it to the two different people, Bob and Steve, when you have a chance to then upload that sample, say it's an audition, how do you choose the audience and which one you're going to go with?
It's really just about feel. If I successfully made things active, if I activated the copy in a way that was better when I was talking to my one friend, I'm going to choose that. So it really is just like a judgment based on feel, not necessarily on the way it sounds. Just that felt right. It felt right doing it to Bob this time. So I'm a big believer in going with feel. So that's how I usually judge it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
This is another great one from Stuart there. Oh, sorry, not Stuart. This one is from Myrna. And her question is, do these techniques work for all types of scripts that you use, whether it be corporate, e-learning, radio, TV, YouTube videos? Like, do you spread this across the board when you're working?
I do. Absolutely. I think that these are techniques that I use to personalize copy in general. I started using them with commercials, and I realized when I work with people on corporate and e-learning, it's the same thing. Like the only difference is, like I said earlier, is that with corporate and e-learning, there's a bit more formality to the read than there would be as opposed to the casualness and the spontaneity of a commercial read. But I feel like you can't go wrong if you're really talking to someone and you're really focused on that. I feel like that will always activate the copy in a positive way. So yeah, absolutely. Now, getting into like animated characters, video game characters, that's a whole different thing. That's voice acting. I don't even think of that as voiceover. You're literally creating a character with your voice. So you don't want to sound like you, and you want to sound like the character, and you're dealing with dialogue as opposed to copy. So that's different, and when I work with people on those types of reads, it's a totally separate thing. But I think for what you're asking about, I use these techniques across the board, and they usually work if you really apply them.
Definitely. This is an interesting one. I think we'll probably be on the same page for the answer here. This is from Gary. At what level should somebody start looking for a voiceover trainer?
I think just starting out, you should definitely train before you do a demo. I know we get a lot of people contact us sometimes, and they want to do a demo, right? And I'll meet with them on Zoom, and I say, well, what has been your experience with voiceover? Have you auditioned? Have you trained? No, I just want to do a demo. I'm like, well, we don't do that. Okay. We're not like other places. We want to make sure that you've done some training beforehand. So if you're thinking of just starting out and getting into voiceover and you haven't done a demo yet, you might want to do some training first and sort of get yourself in line towards doing a demo, get yourself on track, so to speak. Once you do the demo, and once you're, for instance, and you join Voices and you start auditioning, and you're auditioning in other ways as well, you might still want to go back and do some training. Athletes train all the time. It's very similar for voiceover. Working with a coach, even on just your auditions, even just calling up a coach and say, hey, I got 4 or 5 auditions to knock out. Can you help me with these? It's always good to have that second ear, that third ear, I should say. But if you're just starting out and you're ready to make a demo, or you think you're ready to make a demo right away, you should check that and talk to a coach or an educator of some kind in voiceover and take that route first.
Definitely. I would be on the same page there, in the exact form of it's never too early, never too late.
Absolutely.
Some of our most senior and most successful talent on our site still to this very day are doing training, still to this very day work with coaches hands-on. So there's no point where you stop learning or when you stop training. Just like you said, athletes still do it when they reach the pro level.
Absolutely.
It's over. And yeah, just beginning, same type of thing. The two best things I think you can do starting out is start auditioning for jobs and start getting training to help you with those auditions.
Absolutely. You can train while you're looking for work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of my students do that. Training, look, there's this one guy, his name is Rob Morera. You might have heard about him. But Rob is one of my prize students. He's bilingual. He does both English and Spanish speaking VO. And he's been doing it for about 7 years now. And he is making a full-time living doing voiceover. But he still, says, hey, can you like work with me for like an hour? I need you for this, and I'm always there for him if I can be. Because he knows that he gets something really challenging and it's like, okay, I really want to book this. I need to talk to somebody. I need to work with someone for just like a half hour, so he'll call me up for a half hour and say, can you just take me through this just to make sure I'm on the right track? That's always a good way to go, no matter how successful you are.
Yep. It's always good to keep the tools sharp.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Next question. Question from Eliza. When you're reading your scripts and you're making your own dialogue before the reading, is that something that you find very important? Like, do you really put an emphasis on trying to create that dialogue and create that scenario to be more conversational?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is helpful, as you saw with Jenna. What it does is it starts you out talking in your own way of speaking. Okay. And if you are clear about the intention and where you want to go, then when you segue into the copy, you'll continue speaking that way. And it won't go from you just talking to like, now I'm doing the copy. A lot of times when we first are either auditioning or even more so when we're in the booth at a booking and the engineer says rolling, right? To say that first line, the pressure to deliver that first line is always there, right? Your engine is the heart of your car, right? So I delivered that first line because the engineer just said, rolling, Bruce, right? Instead, if you just give yourself that time to go, if the engineer says rolling and you go, so Steve, your car, man, I mean, it really doesn't sound great. I mean, your engine is the heart of your car, right? See what I did? Again, I repeated that, but it's so important to give yourself that time to do that. Is it a requirement? No, of course not. You can do whatever you want, right? But I think it's a foolproof thing to get you talking with the copy in your own way of speaking, and to make it natural, to make it part of what you started, right? If that makes sense.
Definitely. All right, we're coming up to the end there. So sorry, I'm just trying to scroll through here and find some questions. All right. This is a good question from Gary. Should we specialize in one area and try to develop our niche, or should we kind of bet on ourselves all over the place?
Well, that's a really good question. Yeah, I think your niche is discovered as you go. Okay. I think you will begin to find your niche once you try many different parts, many different genres of voiceover. Okay. A lot of people, when they first come to me, they're like, I just want to do animation in video games. I mean, everybody wants to do that. Okay. And what I will say to them is like, if you start with an animation demo or a video game demo, character demo, everyone's going to want to know where your commercial demo is. Okay. So I would say that start with commercials, work your way into corporate, right? And then eventually maybe animation, work within as much as you can, try to work within all the different genres of voiceover. And then after a while, you're going to begin based on what you book, right? Based on what gets sent to you. You're going to begin to discover what your niche is. But you might not want to necessarily hold yourself back from any of the genres to start with. For instance, you might not want to say, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do audiobooks. Like a lot of people don't want to do audiobooks. Give it a shot. Try it out. See if it's for you. You might be surprised,
Yeah.
you know? So I say, keep yourself open, and eventually your niche will come to you.
I could not agree more with that. The amount of, because I work with all the platinum members on our platform there. The amount of times I hear them say, I came into the business thinking I would do a lot of this. And it turns out I actually do a lot of this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have one of my former students. She's an audiobook star. Okay.
Yep.
Dara Rosenberg. I mean, that's all she does. But when she started with me, she just worked on commercials. She did a commercial demo. She tried that. Somehow she segued into the world of audiobooks by way of ACX. I think that's where she started. And that world just opened up for her. And she always says to me, I had no idea, right? I had no idea that this was going to be it for me. I'm like, there it is. Run with it, run with it. It's yours,
It's true. And I think a great tool that I often suggest is if you are booking work on the platform, you can always keep an eye on your done folder where you see all of the jobs that you finished, and you can pick out a lot of the different trends that you are booking for, whether it's the style or the role or the category of work, whatever it might be. You can identify those there.
That's great.
Any other avenue that you're getting work from, it's a really great way to see where you're connecting with clients and where they're being most receptive to your voice.
That's great. That's on voices.com.
Yeah. On Voices, if you go through and you have been work there is a done folder that will list all of the jobs you've done. And when you click on each one, you can see all the requirements that they said they were looking for, as in the styles, as in the roles, as in the categories, all of that type of stuff. And my members will keep track of that, and they'll be able to see, okay, quickly, this is where my high success rate lies. This is where I'm going to try to devote most of my time.
This is why voices.com is a good thing, folks. That's a very cool thing. I didn't know about that. That's great.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a great tool to use. So definitely would encourage everybody to do so. That does bring us to the top of the hour. So a quick reminder that this is a recorded session. It will go to everybody within the next 24 hours. So you can expect to see that. Thank you all for spending the hour with us. I know you're all very busy, so I appreciate you setting aside the time. And of course, a huge thank you to Bruce. Bruce, thank you very much for setting aside some time, doing this with us and sharing your knowledge with everybody.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure. Really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Hey, anytime. Hope we get to do it again in the future. And
absolutely.
Until next time, guys, have a great afternoon, and wish you all the best of luck.
Thanks, Kyle. Take care. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.